Hey everybody, Sergey here from beautiful Charlotte, North Carolina.
Just kidding. Hey, my name's Dwayne, and I am going to kind of take Sergey's tutorial that I myself already followed along with a while back, and I'm going to show you a different approach that combines the power of Blender with the power of After Effects, and kind of show you the setup that you need to do in Sergey's tutorial to make it work with After Effects the way that I do it. And why would you want to do it this way? Because this way you're not rendering out bunches of PNG sequences if you have a lot of teams or sponsors or whatever the case may be. Generally, in my case, it's sponsors. I work in a small market television station, and we do lots of contests and stuff that always need sponsors. So I do this stuff a lot, and I come from the world of Cinema 4D, where we would just do tags, but it doesn't really work that way in Blender. And I never found the workflow that I had in Cinema 4D with Blender, and I couldn't find it anywhere on the internet, so I kind of had to make up my own. And maybe you got some tips and tricks that you could offer me. But for now, we're just going to kind of break down what you have to do in the Blender file to make things work in After Effects. Alright, so as I alluded to, we're going to kind of break down the Blender to AE process as this workflow, as pertains to this workflow. There's a free way that we can do this, and then there's a paid way that we can do this. Both have their benefits and their downfalls, and I'll kind of touch on why they work or don't work in this particular case. And I'll kind of go over my workflow and how you have to kind of do this to make it work. But if you've got other tips that you know of that I don't know about, I'd love to hear them. So let's go ahead and get started here. So as I said, I just followed Sergey's tutorial because I'm always looking for how other people do things to maybe make the way that I do things work a little bit better. So in this case, you'll know that if you follow along with this tutorial, you'll know that Sergey So in Sergey's tutorial, you'll know that these are all just blocks right here. All of those things are just solid cubes, basically. And you'll see that they kind of are in mine as well, but they're not. Because in order to make this work, you have to make faces on the front rather than blocks, because otherwise when you go to matte these things out, you'll get it like a weird parallax effect because it will take the whole cube and turn it into a matte. So when it rotates, like, you're able to see everything that's going on while that cube is up. So what we need to do is make a face. And so as you'll see, this guy here, this and this are two different things. So we have the cube, and I'll mute that for now, and then we have the face. So we have the cube and we have the face, or we have the cube and no face. And you'll also notice that, well, you might notice that this face is also a child of the cube. So I'll show you how we're going to do that real quick. So all you really need to do is just follow his tutorial, but you're going to add these steps to everything that you want to put information on. And really, when it comes to this stuff, is just, in my line of work anyways, I'm just taking data that salespeople give me and finding a way to make it interesting looking. It's kind of how I look at things. So I just have this cube here, just like Sergey did in his tutorial, and we're going to go into edit mode. And you can go up here, select face edge or vertices. You can also hit the number keys, but for some reason it doesn't work on this machine right now. I think there's a shortcut error. Anyways, so we just need to pick this face right here, hit P, separate it, and now we have this cube and we have this face. There's the face, there's the cube. Now we need to, and I almost always mix this up, we need to get out of edit mode, go back in object mode, take the face that we just made and the cube, and hit Control P. There we go. Alright, so now that face is a child of that cube, but we need to take this cube, or this face I mean, so here's the face, and then there's the cube. So this face, we need to right click on it and go to Set Origin, Origin to Geometry. That way we could actually like separate these two guys out if we wanted to, but it comes mostly in handy when we get into After Effects. So this is just like Sergei's cube. This rotates, and then that face rotates with it. But if we're looking at this head on, if this were a matte, so the face, which is right there, would be white, right? And then the cube would be black. And so right now, we would have nothing for a matte until that thing turns around, and then we can see what's going on. And so that's the purpose of this. We need to be able to separate these things out. You could also do this with materials, if you wanted to like duplicate materials, but name it like white material dot matte or something like that. Then you could do it that way too, if that's easier for you rather than doing this. But I kind of like it's not really tactile feel, but it kind of is. I like the separation. And so anyways, so now we have these two things. I'm just going to delete these now and go back to our original stuff. So what we're going to do is basically the first thing you have to do is you have to go to a frame where all of this stuff is visible that you want to have as a matte. So like right now, I think I have on both sides, we have all of these that we need matted. You don't have to select them. Just make sure that everything is visible in your scene. Hit F12 to do a quick render of it. Alright. And now what we can do is we can come into compositing, and I'll get rid of all this stuff and we'll go through it real quick. Alright, so we go into compositing. We need two viewers. So there is a viewer node for just the regular image, and then we're going to Shift D and duplicate it, and then we're going to, and I'm just hitting Shift A just like you do any other thing, and then we need the crypto matte. I can't ever get crypto matte legacy to work, and it's probably because it's legacy, but I don't know why it's still there. So anyways, we need crypto matte, and you can use EXRs with this, but we're just going to do PNGs for the sake of ease. And so we need to take the image node, bring it down here to image, and then we're going to take the matte node from crypto matte, and we're going to take it over to this viewer. Alright. And so, as I was saying about EXRs are great because they kind of combine everything into just one image file. Whereas, like in this instance, you would render out different PNGs. So you would need the main PNG image, and then you would need mattes. So however many mattes that you're going to need. In this case, I would probably do, because I think all of these kind of run into each other. If there was separation and they didn't kind of collide when they're turning like that, because you can see that they're colliding into each other, that's not going to be good. So I would probably make a matte for each one of these faces that you want to use. And so again, if you were doing EXRs, then it would just be one file for everything. And I actually, when I rendered this out to begin with, whenever I did this project, I did EXRs. But if I were you, I would probably just do PNGs because EXRs can get a little finicky sometimes. All right. So, anyways, we need to take this crypto mat node, and we're just going to go and select all of those faces. And it helps if you name these things. So that's away 1 panel because it's at the top. Now it's away 2 panel because that's the second one. Away main panel because it's the main panel. And away name panel. And then we just do all of these. Now then, we can see, now we have a mat. Now you can render out the mats as RGBAs or RGBs. It doesn't really matter. If you do RGBs and just use Luma mats, then your file sizes will be a little bit smaller, which is kind of weird. You would think that with an alpha channel it would be less data, but it's not, so whatever. So now we also need an output, file output here. And so you'll just take the same mat node and plug it into here. And then select that node, and then you have all this information in here. I would just call this like mat, save it in the exact same place that you're saving your regular files, and just render that out. It should make a new folder with all just the mat files in it, so you'll be able to keep them straight. Alright, and so that's it for that rendering part. Now the other part is, there's a couple of ways that you can do this. There's a paid way and a free way, and there may be some other way that I'm not aware of. So basically what we need to do is we need to select all of these panels that we want. So you can select all of those plus the camera, and you can go up to File, Export, down here to Adobe After Effects, JSX, and you can make a JSX file that you import into After Effects, and I'll show you that here in a second. And it will make a comp, and it will have all of that stuff in it. So let's go ahead and run it real quick. I'm going to go to File, Scripts, Run Script File, and we'll just run that file. You can name that whatever you want. Go in here. And this is an old file, so it's only going to have just the 2 panels. But as you can see, I have a camera and I have 2 panels. Now this is cool because in some cases, if they didn't collide like this, this is cool because in some cases you could just use these panels as mats. But in this case, it's not really going to work because as you can see, they're always showing. So that's not going to work. But this is an old JSX file, so that's why it's only got the 2 panels instead of all 8 of them. Or we can do this the paid way with Blender AE, and it's kind of the same thing, but it actually makes solids, and not in the way that I would like, but I'll show you. So anyways, you just hit connect to, it'll connect to your After Effects software. Sometimes you have to open that up and search for it. Most of the time it just works immediately. So same thing, pick everything that you want to export into After Effects, hit export to AE, and it will switch to your AE. For some reason it makes your window smaller. I don't know why. It's kind of annoying. But then it just makes a comp for you and you don't have to worry about anything. So there. So as I said, it makes pre-comps for all this stuff, which would be great if they were like actual size pre-comps. But when you open them, you just get that. So unfortunately, you can't really do anything with that. So that kind of sucks to me. So you could get away with just deleting all of these if you don't actually need them. And I was just hiding my gizmos. You can hit Control Shift H and it will hide or show them. So, anyways, you can choose either way you want. Either way will work fine. Really, what we want is we just want the 3D data. The 3D data. And so, this is the same sort of thing. I used Blender AE and I just deleted all of the pre-comps because I don't need them. I just need this 3D data is all we're after. And that's it for the exporting from Blender to AE portion. The KM info, all that good stuff. And now we're going to make some pre-comps and then we'll get to rigging. So I'm not going to work on making this super pretty because this is already going to be a little longer than I would like, but it takes a little while to explain this stuff. And I'm also not a tutorial guy. Like, I made one tutorial years ago, but I just kind of wanted to put this out in the ether because I think that it's kind of important. I don't want people to not check out Blender because they can't do what they used to do in some other software program. So anyways, with that, we're going to get started. And we're just going to kind of make some basic design choices here. I'm not going to take the time to make this super duper pretty. I'm just going to give you the gist of it, and then you can take it and do whatever you want with it. Sergei is a soccer guy. I'm a baseball guy, so we're going to do baseball stuff. But first we're going to do a little bit of housekeeping to clean this stuff up, because otherwise it's going to start getting confusing. Now, as you can see, I have all these mats down here. These are EXR files, but you could just use PNGs, like I said before. So it's just an EXR file and use extractor, and then you can kind of go through and pick what you want to use. And so I just have all of these. And the reason why I have so many, if these didn't, if they didn't like collide, then you could easily just make it one file, and you would have to worry about that. But since they collide, it kind of puts a damper on things, because you don't want mats to overlap. And you'll see why, because these things turn like that, and so like you don't want your logos or names and text and whatnot like colliding into each other, because it doesn't look great. So, anyways, I don't know if I brought all that stuff in or not. Oh, those are flags. Alright, so I'm going to bring in all my baseball stuff. I just snagged all of this stuff from ESPN, and they don't put the most high quality stuff up there either, so unfortunately, we're just going to have to do what we got to do. We don't really need any of that stuff, I don't think. I'm also grabbing a CSV file, which I'll show you here in just a second. And that's how we're going to bring in all of our names. And there's also a couple of ways you could do that too if you wanted to. Alright, so I brought all that stuff in. First things first. I see this more than just about anything when using CSV files. People try and use a CSV file, they go to render it. Render goes great, but the problem is none of the data from the CSV file shows up. The reason for that is you need to take your CSV file and just throw it in your final comp. If you don't, the data will not show up. Why it's that way, I don't know, but it's always been that way. So just make sure you put it down there. You won't actually use it for anything. In fact, if you wanted to, you could go through and just hide it, and then you won't even know that it's there. Let me get rid of that, because we're going to use that here in a second. Okay. We're going to see that there's some other naming conventions down here that are wrong. That's fine. So I just have logos and images here. And I'm going to show you the CSV file real quick, like. Alright, so this is all it is. Sometimes the logo thing matters, but it's not going to matter for this. We're going to do it a different way, slightly easier way. So if I was going to do all of these all at once, then I would just use comps from spreadsheets and make it super easy. But that's not what we're going to do. We're going to make it to where you could use this as a Mogurt if you wanted to. This is kind of the same thing that I would do for editors at my work, if we got stuff that trickles in. So this is really just kind of a guide for me as I set this kind of stuff up. So I say, let's see, first things first, I should put these in order real quick. Alphabetical order. I don't know why I didn't do that to begin with, but I did not. So let's do that real quick. See. Alright, I think I have this in order now. So, so this part is kind of not an exact science. Like I said, it brings in pre-comps, but they're not at a size that you could plausibly use. And we're also going to run into another problem with this as well. All things we can get around. So, this is where we're kind of start using smart tools. Smart Rect is probably my most used smart tool. I use it for everything, just for backgrounds, like literally everything. So, anyways, I don't want to have anything selected. So I'm just going to have it bring in Smart Rect. We'll make it a 3D object. We're going to do that, and then we're going to hit Control-Shift-C to pre-comp it, and we're just going to call it left panel.main. And now we're going to make that a 3D object. And then we are going to shift parent to left main panel. As you can see, the other problem that I have with Blender, I don't know if there's a tool out there that can fix this. I don't know if they're working on it. I don't know what the deal is, but the 3D space in Blender is different than the 3D space in After Effects, and so when you bring these things in, you'll notice that these are different. Like Y is normally up and down in After Effects, and Z is forwards and backwards, and X is left and right. Well, it's like turned around in here, so Y is forwards and backwards like it is in Blender. Z is up and down like it is in After Effects. I don't know why they do it that way in Blender. Pretty much everything else works the same as After Effects. I guess they just want to be different. Whatever the case may be, we are just going to have to rotate it. So you can do it that way. Let's make that 0. And then, let's see here. It looks like that needs to be 90. So we'll just make that 90. And now, you could just go through and scale this down. And I think we're going to. But kind of how I like to do this is scale it down and leave it so maybe even it's a little bit bigger. But then I like to lock this, and I go into the pre-comp, and then I go to this, and I will adjust this the rest of the way. Yeah. So then I just kind of adjust that the rest of the way. Alright, and so we can unlock that. So we'll go back into here and take that. And this is not a free plugin, but I use it all the time. It's auto crop. So we're gonna auto crop it. Yeah. It's just a warning about 3D layers. Alright, so we will call this left panel, if I can spell, .main. And we're going to bring it down here with the corresponding piece. Now at this point, we're just going to kind of do the left side, because after we size all these things, then we can just duplicate them and move them over to the right, rather than fiddle farting around with both sides. So this is going to be where our players are going to go. Gosh dang it. What the heck? That's never done that before. That's weird. Alright then, here, this is what we're going to do. We're just going to take that and we're going to put that there like that. So actually we can just take this and we'll just hit Control K, and it's 1092 by 1080. Alright, so that's fine. Now we can just get rid of this pre-comp thing that auto-crop did. I've never seen it do that before. It doesn't normally do that. Alright, so this is the baseball players. So we're not getting into the rigging part just yet. So we're going to bring that. Now, the only reason why I use Smart Rect for this is just so that I can size these things up properly, so we can actually get rid of that. And this is motion 2. It's up to motion 4 now, I think, but motion 2 is a lot smaller of a footprint. And mostly I just use it for these anchor deals. But you could use Smart Anchor if you wanted to, which I have down here. Smart Anchor. So you could use Smart Anchor. Does the same thing. Moves it around. Yeah. Anyways, so we're going to take that and I'm going to align it to the bottom. Then I'm going to scale it up. Now you could just hit Control-Alt-Shift-H and it will make it the width of the comp. Okay, so now we've got that. I think we're actually going to scale it up a little bit because it doesn't go by pixels, it goes by the layer size. I like even numbers, I'm weird. Alright, now then. Got the left panel main. Alright, so we need to mat this guy. I think, let's see here. What is this? So we need away. So mat away flag. And we need that. Don't know if you saw the difference or not, but it's there. So if we scale this guy up, you'll see that it's matted to that, just the way we like it. Alright, so we're also going to duplicate that, but we're going to say left panel main, and then we're going to call it BG. And then we're going to take this guy and we're going to duplicate it. I'm going to move this guy underneath, and then we're just going to take this left panel main BG. We're going to select it, hold Alt, and then drop it on there. And now we have another file, but we're going to get rid of that. And he is with my team, the Cubs. So we need the Cubs logo. and Control Alt Shift H. That'll work just fine. And so now we've got the logo back there, and we've got our player. You could make all of these in Photoshop if you wanted to, and make it a little bit easier. Just do the logo in the player if you wanted to, or in some cases you could do the logo and the player all in one comp, but you'll see why that's not going to work in this case. So just hold on to that thought. We'll get there. Alright, so we've got that. Now then, we've got these top two panels that I was just going to use for colors. And so, let's see, we've got left panel 1, left panel 2. So again, we're just going to use Smart Rect. These, I'm probably not going to pre-comp these. Probably just going to leave them as is. So we're going to turn that into a 3D layer. We're going to shift parent it to left panel 1, and again, Blender's 3D gizmo stuff gets messed up, so we have to kind of fix it on our own, and it still won't be right because we actually should do that, and then it would be on track. But I'm not going to worry about that. We're not animating any of this stuff anyways, so. Alright, so that's parented. Now we're just going to bring this guy down. Way down, apparently. It's more like it. That's close enough. Alright, so now we are going to mat that to away panel 1, I think. And remember, all of our mats are Luma channels instead of alpha channels, so we have to make it a Luma mat. There, and now we've got that color. And now we're just going to duplicate that and set it below, because some of these things are backwards, so just have to do what we gotta do. Now we're just gonna drag this guy down here, and we're gonna parent this to panel 2, which is this panel right here. Yeah. Alright, but we have to change the mat to panel 2. Alright, now then, we are going to select both of those, hit Control F, or Command F if you're on a Mac, and hit color. Great thing about Smart Rect is all of these effects, stroke and fill, are already built in, so you don't have to add that stuff later. So what we're going to do is we're going to parent the color of the second panel to the color of the first panel. That way we only have to mess with that once. So if we take the panel 1, we select that color, now they're both going to be blue, or we can, if we wanted to do red, whatever like the home and away colors are. So we're going to call this left panel dot 1. Call this left panel dot 2. Now we've got that. Alright, and now we need the name. And that's the other thing too, is if you wanted to, you could put hex values into your CSV file, and you could have it automatically pick those, but we're not going to mess with that in this. Alright, so we need a name. Some name. That's what we're going to pick. And put that there. And we're also going to make it a 3D layer. And we're going to shift pick whip this to left panel bottom. Where is that guy at? There it is. Alright, so left panel bottom. Put it there. Oh, left panel bottom. Alright. Shift parent. And rotate this 90. Oh, whoa. Move that stuff around. I don't like that. Left panel bottom. Yes, there we go. Alright. Now then, X 90. As I said, it's still not going to be right, and it doesn't matter for those colors, but it does matter for this. So, I'm going to bring this up fairly big. 30 is generally what you want to use for broadcast stuff. Gets any smaller than that, it gets harder to read, especially where I'm at, because our main demographic is old people, because a lot of people come here to retire. Alright, so I'm going to call this left name dot main, and then we're going to duplicate that, and we're going to drop it down. And I know what I just said, but it's kind of necessary for this, so I'm going to drop that down to 15, and we're going to go ahead and just tack on a bunch of text for this because of what we're about to do. Alright, subline. So both of these guys need track mats of away name, I believe, and they both need to be Luma, so if it's on that, you need to change it to that. And so now, as you will see, if we play through this, that stuff isn't visible until the mat says that it can be visible. And that's why you have to separate all the mats, because like I said, otherwise these guys here, they would both be visible, and we don't want that. We do have the separator here, I guess, which would be helpful, but I'd just rather be safe than sorry. There. So we're going to take left name dot main, and we're going to use another smart tool, Smart Sizer, one of my other tools that I use probably more than just about anything else. Smart Sizer and Smart Rect, along with Smart Animator, are my big ones. I use those more than literally anything else. So anyways, we're going to keep that at this size, so we're going to hit this so that we can use an expression. We don't really have to use that. We're just going to hit that because we want to keep the aspect ratio. And so now if we go in here, we type whatever we want, and it will maintain. That's what we want. Now, if you don't want it that way and you just want it to maintain the width, then you would hit this one here, or height, or whatever. But I don't really, it's not going to get too crazy name-wise. There looks like maybe a couple with really long names, but they're not super long, so it's going to be great. And then we're also going to take the subline, and we're going to do the same thing. Now if we do that, bada boom, bada bing. Time saver. You know how much time it would take to do that on your own? Every time you had to do this stuff? And if you're like me, like you have a notepad file full of stuff like that, but then you have to go and dig it out and yada yada. It's just a pain. There's no reason when you have this. So if you don't have it, get it, because it's worth it, I promise you. Alright, I'm going to drag this guy down just a smidge. Drag this guy down just a smidge. I'm going to make that regular since it's bigger. We'll keep this one as semi-bold. Yes. Alright. So now we've got that entire side done, and now what we can do is we can just work on taking all of these things and moving them over. So, I'm going to take all of these things and duplicate them. And bring them on down here. I'm going to bring them all the way down underneath here so that they don't get lost. Alright, so we're going to take these two guys and we're going to move them over here. Obviously, we're going to lose them for a second because they're on the wrong mat. So we just need to choose the correct mat. So, yes, okay. So that's right, panel bottom. So both of these guys will be that. Alright, let's take both of these and move them over. And yes, they're gone because of the mat. I'm going to fix that right now. Okay, that is correct. And then we're going to... You don't have to shift click these because if you do, it's going to reset everything. Just pick whip them. That's all you got to do. Alright, those are good to go. And then we're going to take these guys here and we're going to move them over. Oh, yes. So this guy here, we're going to take that and that. Move this guy over. And we'll move this guy over. And we just need to change the mats. Panel 2. Bada boom, bada bing. Alright, that's basically all that we're going to do for the design portion of it, which isn't really much of a design portion if you ask me. So the thing that I just did is I have a shortcut for it, but it's Video Copilot's effects console. It's free. If you don't have it, get it right now. It's another one of those things that just saves so much time. So, like I said, I have it as a shortcut. I use Control Space. That's what I use. So we're gonna add a drop shadow to this, just to add a little something, break it up a little bit. Let's also make that 10. We're gonna make that 30. Drop this, make that up a bit deeper. There we go. That's cool. Okay, so what we are also going to have to do in this design portion is we duplicated all of those in here, but they're not actually new comps of their own. So what we need to do is come up here and duplicate these. The color ones will be fine, but these two guys here will have to be duplicated and their names changed. So this is going to be right panel dot main. This is going to be right panel dot main BG. So I need to come down here. So that's left panel main. Wait a minute. Something is amiss. What did we do wrong here? Oh, that's just okay. I see here. So let's change that real quick. I don't know why that's titled that way. Okay, so this guy here is the player, right? Yep. So we need right panel main, and then this guy here needs to be right panel main BG. I'm just selecting, holding down, and holding Alt, and then dropping it on top of there. And there we go. That is what we needed. I'm going to save it before something crashes and we have to start all over again. All right, now that we're on to the rigging part, you could take these and pre-comp them if you wanted to. I'm not going to, just because I don't feel like it. So I am gonna hide these real quick though, because they're kind of annoying me. All right, so the rigging stuff is not really that complicated in this case. It's going to be pretty straightforward and simple. Now, we could have waited to duplicate all of this stuff for the right side until we rigged the left side, and then we could have just kind of updated the expressions. But I figure, why not just show you twice? That we have two chances to figure out what the heck's going on here. So, first thing that we're going to do here is we are going to add a new shape layer. We're not going to use it as a shape. We're just going to use it as our controller, our menu. We'll call it a menu. First thing we're going to do is add a drop-down menu control. We'll call this left player. Yeah, we'll just call it left player. And what we're going to do now is you could use Smart Menu for this. And I'll show you real quick kind of how that works. I am still I learn by doing things repetitively, so I'm still trying to burn this stuff into my mind, and so I don't use this unless I'm in a really big hurry. But you could, if you wanted to, go through and copy all of these names and make a menu. So we'll do that. And if you do this, it will save you a ton of time. I do use this at work because, unfortunately, most things in a TV station are last minute, even though Christmas happens the same time every year, Halloween happens the same time every year, March Madness happens the same time every year, but for some reason, they always wait to do things at the last minute. It is what it is. So you can apply layer visibility to it, and we're going to end up doing something like that, but I want to show you how you can do this. Show you how long it takes, and then maybe if this doesn't go super long, then we'll come back and we'll use Smart Menu, and you can see how much faster it'll be. How's that sound? You can create color controls, which is perfect because we have colors up here. You can have it make text guide layers, but you could not use them as guide layers and then just have them be these text layers. And then you don't have to do that. So anyways, if I make this, it will go ahead and make a drop-down menu, and it will put all those names in there for you. So if you have a spreadsheet or a CSV file like we're using, that would save you a bunch of time in and of itself. Like I said, if this doesn't go super long, we'll come back and do it that way, but I think it's important for you to learn how to do this stuff on your own too. Because if you do it that way, then you learn to appreciate what tools like these do for you in your workflow. And like I said, I'm still trying to burn this stuff into my brain. I'm not a pro. I have an interest. I think my favorite part about doing this stuff is the rigging part of it. Kind of putting all this stuff together. And unfortunately, I'm kind of a one-man band at work. I mean, we have people that go out and shoot and stuff like that, but I do all the station-oriented stuff, contests and on-air graphics and stuff like that. So I don't have like a designer that passes things down to me or anything like that. I am the designer everything, which is interesting, but sometimes it can be a real pain. Alright, this is actually right name. We need to change these. If you don't change these as you move along, you're gonna end up getting confused somewhere down the line. So I come from web design and development background, so my naming conventions are along those lines more than anything else. Okie dokie. Like I said, we already have our CSV file down here, which is perfect. I'm not going to go into super in-depth as to why these things work the way that they work. Sergei already has great tutorials about that. He goes super into depth. So I'm just going to do this and tell you that it has to be a certain way or it's not going to work. And that's basically going to be the extent of it. So we're going to take this text, come down here to text. So we need to take the source text, left main. We're going to pick whip it to our CSV file. And then we're going to go into here and we're going to say dot data value. And we're going to put some braces in there. And we're going to say, I always forget. Is it 0, 0, 0? Yeah. No. Yeah. It should be 0, 0. Oh, that's right. I didn't save my changes over here. I thought I'd put it in alphabetical order. There we go. So I had put all the names in alphabetical order in my CSV over here, and I didn't save it, so I saved it, and then I just right-clicked on that and reloaded it, and now they'll all be good to go. So now what we need to do is we need to... Where did my controller go? Did I delete it? I deleted it, didn't I? Why didn't you guys tell me? Alright, so we're going to do the shape layer again. Going to do the menu. I'm going to add a drop down menu control. I'm going to call this one left player, like so. Alright, now then, we can hit UU, and then we can take that and we can just then hit SS. Now we just have that. So what we need to do, this here is columns, and in this case that's our name. And then if you look at our CSV file, and I just told you guys that I wasn't going to go through all this stuff, but so this is name is column 1, team is column 2, image is column 3, and then name is row 1, and then so we actually need to skip this stuff. We don't actually need any of that. So we got Cody, Corey, Freddie, Luis, Ronald, Spencer, and Yandy. So what we need to do is be able to change the rows, not the columns. So up and down is columns, left and right is rows. We need to change the rows, which is the second one. So columns there, rows there. If you wanted to, you could link this up with a slider, but we're also not going to do it that way. So we need to select our menu layer, put the lock on the effect control. Of course, now all my names are gone too. Anyways, alright, so we're going to select that, and then we're going to use the second pick whip down here because this is specifically for our expressions. And we're going to do that. And Then we're going to do that. And so now, whenever we pick these, it's going to switch those. But we also have to do -1. Because, as I just alluded to, this is actually row 0. And then that's row 1, row 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we need to skip that because we don't want that information. Alright, so we need to edit this real quick. That was Cody Bellinger. Now you're seeing how long it's going to take me to type all this stuff out. Luckily, there's only a handful of people in here, because otherwise this could take a long time. And actually, just you get the idea that that's going to take a while, I think. So I'm just going to copy and paste all these guys. So that's that. That's that. Got 2 more of these guys. I think you can already see how valuable Smart Menu is. Alright, so now all these names should correspond. Perfectamundo, perfect. Okie dokie. Now we've got that guy done, and actually we could take this source text here, we can copy the expression, and then we can hit Control V, Command or Control V, and paste it. But we are going to have to edit it a little bit, and this can be confusing. So if you get confused about stuff like this really easily, then maybe you don't want to do that. But this is where we're going to change the column, because we want to know what team this guy's on. Obviously we had the logo back there, but so we're going to just change this to 1, and then return, and now we have Chicago Cubs. So now it will tell you what team they're on, and as you can see, everything is sizing down properly the way that we wanted it to. That's perfect. Okay, now then we're going to go to right name over here, paste that. We need to duplicate this, and we're going to call this right player. So go into here, UU, SS, solo that, and we just need to change this little bit here. So this comp, so we're going to keep the column the way that it is at 0. We're going to keep the -1. I'm just going to change out that little bit right there. Make sure that you're on this expression pick whip. So we're going to do that. And we need to do that because otherwise they're going to change from just this menu, and we don't want that. We want them to be different. Alright, we've got that one. Now we're on the subline. We're going to hit Command or Control V, hit UU, then SS, and now we need to change. We still have to change this, remember, because otherwise it's going to be the same. So just the same little bit. Second pick whip down here, pick whip it to the right one. Now, you could, if you wanted to, because it's just saying left player, we could just change this to right if you want. If that's easier and less confusing. And then we just need to change that to 1. And return. There. Perfect. Alright, we've got the text versions ready to go. We're going to save that because I've been awfully brave in not saving this stuff. Alright, so let's do left panel main. Left panel main. So that's our players. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7 players. So we're just going to duplicate this guy here in a second. We already have that unlocked. So this is how we're going to swap out our players. We're going to select that layer, hit T, alt click on the opacity stopwatch there, and we're just going to call this player equals, take our pick whip, put it on left player because that's what we're working on right now, and semicolon. And then hit the wrong one. Alright, so now the reason why we couldn't put the logos in the same comp as the players is because we're going to use indexes. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to say if open paren if player, if I can spell correctly, which I can't apparently, is equal to index. And then open, not brackets, curly brackets, 100. And go down arrow, hit else, curly brackets, 0. And all it's saying is that if the index down here matches the index in here, then that's the one that you're going to show. So now we're going to take this guy and we're going to just duplicate it 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright, so the second player is Corey Seeger. So we're going to take this guy, I'm going to alt drag on top of here, and then just to make sure that it's working properly, cool, we got Corey Seeger. Next guy, Freddie Freeman. Going to alt drag Freddie Freeman down onto here. Now if we go to Freddie Freeman, boom, we got Freddie Freeman. And we're just going to do it for the rest of this. So Luis Arias, I guess. Arias. Alt drag it and then drop it. And now if we take Luis Arias, okay, Ronald Acuna Jr., alt drag it and drop it. Okay, and then the next guy is Spencer Strider. Alt drag it and drop it. And our last guy is Yandy Diaz. Alt drag it and then drop it. Bada boom, bada bing. There's Spencer, and then there's Yandy. Sweet. So now if we come into here, we will also see the exact same thing. Bingo. Okay, we'll go ahead and we'll do the team logo real quick as well. So, same exact thing. So we're going to hit T to bring up opacity. We're going to alt click on the stopwatch, and then we're going to say logo is equal, logo space is equal to, and drag our pick whip up to the menu, semicolon. And then we're just going to do the exact same thing. If open paren logo is equal to index, open curly brackets, and we're going to say 100, down arrow, else, open curly brackets, enter 0. Number pad, enter. Okay, and so we need 6 more of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One more. There we go. Alright, so first is Cubs. We got that. We need Texas Rangers. And then the third one is going to be the Dodgers. The fourth one, excuse me, going to be Marlins. Fifth one is going to be the Braves. Sixth one is also the Braves, and then it's the Rays. So now if we pick all these guys, all that stuff will switch with it, which is exactly what we want. Alright, and now we're going to do all of that stuff again, but we're going to do it on the right panel over here. Right panel main. Alright, same dealio. T for opacity. Alt click on the stopwatch. Player equals, drag up to the right player menu, semicolon, return, then we're going to say if, open paren, player equal to index, move over, open curly brackets, 100 down arrow, else, open curly brackets, enter 0, return. Alright. Or enter. Return, enter, I guess. And so now, since that is not on the first one, now he's available. So now we can just take that and duplicate it 6 more times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now we have 7 total. And we just go through the whole thing all over again. So Corey Seager, alt drag it on top. Freddie Freeman, alt drag it on top. Luis Reyes, alt drag it on top. This has to be selected first. Whatever layer it is that you're wanting to change needs to be selected first, so make sure that you do that. Then Ronald Acuna Jr., right? Yep. And then, I've messed up. You guys didn't tell me I messed up. Come on, man. Alright, that's Luis Reyes. Ronald Acuna Jr., Spencer Strider, and then Yandy Diaz. And as we can see, all of that stuff works. Alright, we're going to go through this one more time with the right panel logos. So T, alt click on the stopwatch. And call this logo equal to pick whip to right player, semicolon, return, we're going to say if, open paren, logo, if I can spell properly, is equal just basically means that it has to be this. You could do greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. Equal is just kind of loose, but equal is like it has to be this or you can't do anything. So, anyways, index, open curly brackets, and then we are going to say 100 down arrow, else, open curly brackets, return 0, enter. Okie dokie, it's gone now, as you can see, because we're not on a Cubs player, which is Cody. So now, if we duplicate this guy, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, it's back. It's back. So we need Rangers, and then we need Dodgers. And then we need Marlins. And then we need Braves twice. Where did my Braves go? There it is. Braves and Braves and... Guys made me mess up again. Oh, no, I didn't. I just have too many. Alright, so just select that, and then let's raise, right? Yeah. And so now that should be good to go. Hey, there we got her. Alright, one thing I am going to do, because it kind of bothers me a little bit, is I'm going to take this right panel BG. I'm going to move it over so you can see it over his shoulder. Same with this guy here. Move it over there like that. And so now, you can see our mats are working. Alright, one last thing to do in here is we need to change these colors. So that's the top panel, right? Yep. So, right panel dot one, right panel dot two. Move this guy up here, and this guy up here. And then we need to select both of those, hit Control F to find, and then color. And we want this to follow this, because otherwise it's currently following on the other side, and that's not what we want. So we can hide that. So now we can take this and do that. I don't really know what the colors are exactly. That's why I had these other things, but you get the gist. I think. I hope, right? Maybe not. Like I said, you could build the hex color codes into your CSV file if you want to. I'm not going to go through that right now. So there's a good example. Tampa Bay Rays. You could even add the color effects to the text if you wanted to. Again, I'm also not doing that. So, anyways, there, we've built this stuff up. It wasn't too bad. It's just a lot of repetitive stuff, and again, that's kind of why these tools are time savers, is because you find yourself doing these same things over and over again, and some of them are time consuming, like typing out all those expressions is kind of time consuming. Typing all the names into menus is time consuming. Even with copy and paste, it's still kind of time consuming. So if you just copy and paste it once, put it in the smart menu, and have it make your stuff, then that just saves you a lot of time. And like I said, we're only using 7 people in our example. Imagine if you were doing 30 baseball teams. Like, that's a lot. So as you can see, like, it's a big time saver, and that's kind of what this is about. And the cool thing about doing this in After Effects instead of doing it all in Blender is you don't have to, like, it's going to take longer for it to render in Blender, for one. So that takes a lot of time. And then also, if you're going to do it, you probably wouldn't render it out of Blender into movies. You would probably do PNG sequences. So now you get all these PNG sequences, which is also a lot of space. So time and space is what you're losing. Big time, actually, if you're working in Blender. And like you can't do, there might be a way, maybe, I don't know what it is, but you can't control the text size and all that stuff. Like you'd have to hand do all of that in Blender. Like it would be a pain. And so um, I'm sure that that would work like on a smaller scale. It would be fine. But in my world, that's not going to work. We could even make this look a little bit better. I didn't even think about that. We could change these. Man, I messed my whole panel up here. All right, there we go. So, probably not add, multiply maybe. Multiply. Yeah, I don't know. That's not gonna work. Change that to normal. There. So if you do that, and now it kind of blends in with it a little bit. Soft light, maybe. I don't know. Not difference. Add. If you wanted it to kind of have the same kind of feel as the geometry does, you could play with the blend modes, which I have to do that a lot too. So anyways, this is just kind of the stuff that I have to do on a regular basis. But I kind of wanted to team up with Sergei because he and I talk pretty frequently, and I use his stuff a lot. Like a lot. Like I said, I doubt you could open up a project of mine and not find Smart Rect being used, at least. But also, Smart Sizer is another one that I use nonstop. Like I couldn't even begin to express how much I use that stuff. So, um, anyways, that's that. I think since it's not terribly, it's long, but it shouldn't take too long to go through sort of Smart Menu because that's the entire point of it, right? So let's see what we got going on there.